Auburn Tigers and your Bulldogs from Mississippi State University. Let's meet our starters. First for Auburn. At Auburn, the 6th senior from Cincinnati, Ohio, number 2, Al Payne. At center, 7th senior from Anderson, Tennessee, number 0, Son Nixon Tatum. At guard, 6th junior from Montgomery, Alabama, number 1, KT Harrell. At guard, 6th senior from Columbus, Georgia, number 3, Chris Denson. And at guard, 5'10" freshman from Decatur, Georgia, number 13, Tosh Jensen Dean. Head coach is Tony Barney.
Tonight in Starkville, the Auburn Tigers bring the highest scoring duo in the SEC to take on one of the best defenses in the Southeastern Conference. Something's got to give. Auburn and Mississippi State starts now. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. From Starkville, Mississippi, and inside the Humphrey Coliseum, the Auburn Tigers roll in to meet the Mississippi State Bulldogs. A very pleasant good evening, everybody. I'm Dave Weekley. Happy to be alongside former Auburn sharpshooter Damian Fishback. And Damian, when you take a look at Auburn, they've lost 14 SEC conference games in a row in a streak that dates back to last year. But last time out on the Plains, they nearly upset Florida before losing. Conversely, Mississippi State, they've won 2 out of their last 3, including an overtime thriller here in Starkville against Texas A&M on Saturday afternoon. So, who needs this game more?
Well, Dave, they both need this game. The question will be, who wants this game more? It's an Auburn team who's been competitive. The question is, will they be happy with that competitiveness or still hungry for a victory? On the other hand, Mississippi State, will they become complacent or maintain that consistent defense who has them 2 victories here in Humphrey Coliseum?
All right, before we tip it up, let's check our one-on-one.
Well, you look at a couple of duos here today. One of them is the 7th best in the nation in KT Harrell and Chris Denson, 2 of the better guards you'll see across the country. And then for Mississippi State, you have Gavin Ware on the interior and Craig Sword, 2 super sophomores who I think could be amongst the likes of a Harrell and Denson in their senior years with a combined 44 points.
All right, let's check our starting lineups, and we'll begin with the Auburn Tigers. 8-7, 0-4 in Southeastern Conference play. Denson and Harrell combined score 50 52% of the points. Shamsuddin will run the point for Mississippi State. Bloodman gets the call at the point. Thomas, Sword, Borchert, and Ware round out the starting 5 for the Bulldogs here in Starkville. Auburn in their road blue uniforms, trimmed in orange, and Mississippi State here at home in their familiar white with maroon. And the tap controlled by the Auburn Tigers. They bring it into the front court.
You see our officials, Doug Shows, James Breeding, and Rick Hartzell, a veteran officiating crew here on hand tonight, Dave. And I expect this game to be determined by 2 statistical categories: turnovers and points in the paint.
Short side miss by Shamsuddin, and the rebound collected by Fred Thomas, who will bring it into the front court for the Bulldogs. And quickly a turnover. Harrell, the transfer from Virginia, brings it in the front court for Auburn. Baseline jump shot up and good by Denson, and the Tigers break out on top.
Let's remember, Dave, this Auburn team was very competitive against Ole Miss, who's played well, Missouri at home, and played Florida basically to one possession. And so this team, even though they're winless, has been very close. Probably the biggest separation was at Tennessee on the road in Knoxville.
Bloodman brings it back outside. Still plenty of time. 1 minute in, just underway. Glad you could join us live on ESPN3.
Auburn already switching to a 2-3 zone, which caused some confusion for the Bulldogs.
Thomas for 3 out of the corner, no good. This is not a good three-point shooting team, Mississippi State. They're averaging just over 4 three-point made field goals a game. Shamsuddin, the freshman, brings it back outside, and they'll set it up. Denson so quick off the dribble. And that's an illegal screen. And the foul goes on Dixon Tatum, his first team foul, number 1. Tony Barbie, the former star at UMass, who will go into their Hall of Fame on Sunday, now in his 4th season at Auburn.
Former Conference USA Coach of the Year, who had a lot of success at UTEP. Asked him, what were you most excited about going into the Hall of Fame? And he said to see his former coach and close friend, Coach Cal, who's obviously done a good job at Kentucky. Talked about how not only did he influence his game, but how he was a close friend as well.
Borchard's shot off the baseline is off the mark. Payne the rebound off to Harrell. Harrell's so quick, too. Nice dump down inside. Right in front of the rim, would not go for Payne.
Those are the kind of baskets that you have to finish if you plan on not just being competitive, but getting wins. Coach Tony Barbie said, we know what we're going to get from KT Harrell and Chris Denson. The question is, Shamsuddin's been playing well, but who will be that 3rd and 4th guy to step up night in and night out?
Would not go out of the corner for Sword. Boy, the last time these two teams met here in Starkville, it was a very cold shooting night. A game that the first half ended tied at 24.
Well, these are 2 teams who use their defense to try to create offense. That's why turnovers and points in the paint are so critical.
Harrell cuts through to the basket, and the Tigers extend the lead to 4-0. And you can see token pressure that time, but Damien, looks like Auburn wants to go full court pressure of some sort after every made field goal.
Well, they'll try to change defenses, actually both teams here, and you'll see that a lot more from teams. Auburn right now is going from their 2-2-1 back to their 2-3 zone. As you said, some token pressure to slow Mississippi State down and try to keep them from having transition points.
There's Denson with a steal and a race to the basket. He wins it, and Auburn, a 6-0 lead here early on in Mississippi State. Rick Ray wants a timeout.
I like the timeout called very early by Mississippi State. We questioned these 2 teams and what their mental approach would be when they came into the basketball game. You see here kind of a lackadaisical pass, and right now Mississippi State playing like some sophomores. They're playing like the team that's content with a couple of wins and not very consistent. Auburn, on the other hand, is playing like a team that's not happy with just being competitive, but hungry for their first win.
There's Rick Ray now in his 2nd season. You see the record. You know, we were talking about their defense after their shoot-around this afternoon here in Starkville, and the fact that they are 2nd in the SEC in steals per game. Yet it's Auburn who's got 2 early steals here.
Well, you can tell by the look on Coach Rick Ray's face is that he is discontent with his play thus far. You know, in the previous game against Texas A&M, his conversation was not to have quick shots and turnovers, but instead to get paint touches and try to get it into the interior. He hasn't had that today, and he's had, quite frankly, a lackadaisical and content basketball team in the first 3.5 minutes.
So a little bit of a discussion at the scorer's table. Not sure what that's about.
Not sure either. It's official James Breeding actually having a conversation with Coach Tony Barbie. We'll try to get some information in just a second.
Oh, okay. Looks like Matthew Attaway is not in the scorer's book.
Coach Tony Barbie will stay at that scorer's table all day to get him in.
Yeah.
He played extremely well in that Florida game.
There you go. That is confirmed. So Attaway was not in the scorer's book. So this will be a technical foul, and Mississippi State will shoot 2 free throws.
You talk about a momentum shift.
I don't think I've ever seen that call, Damian.
Well, you know, the official Rick Hartzell came over, and that's him down there underneath the basket, and let us know it will be a long trip home from somebody.
Yes.
To the Plains.
Colin Borchert at the free throw line for 2. And an 80% free throw shooter missed them both. So Mississippi State misses the free throws, and now they'll get possession of the basketball. We have not seen the ball go through the basket yet for the Bulldogs.
We talked about that being a momentum shift. Right now for the Mississippi State Bulldogs, there is a lid on the basket, and when you're struggling to score, what you want to do now if you're the Bulldogs is try to get to the rim.
And it's going to be a push off inside, and that's going to go against Ware. Ware's a key figure in this game, Damian. The interior defense of Auburn has not been that good, and Ware is a factor inside, averaging almost a double-double, over 11 points and nearly 9 boards a game.
Well, their interior defense hasn't been that good against the likes of Jerron Mayman and Jarnell Stokes of Tennessee and Patrick Young, Casey Prather of Florida. This is a Mississippi State team who struggles on the interior besides Gavin Ware for their inside presence. That you see another big basket by KT Harrell.
So Harrell rattles one in off the baseline, and just like that, it's 8-0.
When you have a young basketball team, now is where you find out where your leadership will come from.
Sword thought about it. Gets a pick. Swings it out to Thomas. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Mississippi State still looking for their first basket. Bloodman from outside here. Got it.
Much needed basket by Trevante Bloodman. You talked about how they struggled from the three-point line. He's only shooting 25%, but comes through in the clutch for the Bulldogs on that particular play.
And he needs to have a big game, as I.J. Reddy is unable to play tonight because of a concussion that he suffered against Auburn. 15-17 to go in the first half, just underway. Auburn with an early 5-point lead.
Don't miss Starkville Restaurant Week, March 17th through 23rd. Restaurant Week showcases the best of culinary experiences from over 30 locations. After your meal, vote for one of the top 3 featured charities. At the end of the week, the charity with the most votes gets a check for $5,000. Starkville Restaurant Week, celebrating millions in Mississippi's College Town. For details, check them out on Facebook at MS College Town. Fans who have been waiting in long concession lines, now you have the opportunity to have your concessions delivered seatside by ordering on your phone's browser at dogstacks.com. That's DAWGSNAX.com.
On that too.
Okay. Auburn with an 8-3 lead on Mississippi State, just underway here in the first half. Damian, Auburn is looking for their first win here in Starkville since late February 2009. Last time a team won back-to-back games in the series was back in 09 when Auburn won both meetings. Last time out, Auburn really gave Florida a game before losing 68-61 on Saturday at the new building on the Plains. But they are 0-4, and that streak is now at 14 games. They've lost 14 SEC games in a row. Couldn't sense it, though, this morning at the shoot-around. Very spirited. Inside. Up and in. Johnson with a bucket, his first basket.
Right now, you can tell out of that timeout, Coach Rick Ray has his Mississippi State Bulldogs concentrating on going back to the paint. So Auburn will have to make more of a conscious effort to keep them out of the paint now as Mississippi State sets up their defense. Who will Auburn go to?
Ooh, Shamsuddin, the crossover, and then puts it up and in with a left hand.
And he has started in all 15 games, actually 9th in the SEC. A little over 3.3 assists per game and 3rd amongst SEC freshmen. He's been a pleasant surprise for the Auburn Tigers this year.
All right, Auburn has knocked in 4 of their first 6 field goal attempts here. They've got a 5-point lead. Sword slicing into the paint. Had that shot partially blocked by Attaway, and then a foul is called.
Looks like right now Auburn's going to stay with this 2-3 zone as long as possible. With that being said, there's a couple of ways that you can beat the 2-3 zone. You can try to get the basketball around the SEC emblem, which is the sweet spot of the zone, right there where Borkett has it, and go inside out, or you can try to screen the zone, which usually makes it more difficult for players to cover their designated areas.
Borchard with the miss. That foul, by the way, was on Denson, his first. Turnover. Thomas back the other way. Doesn't have the numbers. Going to force the issue anyway. And earns a trip to the free throw line for 2 shots.
Looks like Fred Thomas from Mississippi State took a little shot to the head, going back to that rim. And looks like Shamsuddin got him on the top of his nose, and he'll get a couple at the charity stripe now.
Thomas just 54% at the stripe. Sophomore from Jackson, Mississippi. Getting a lot of minutes, averaging almost 31 minutes a game.
And he's a guy that I think the coaching staff is looking for a little bit more from. He came in known as a shooter. Actually had 17 points earlier this season against Kennesaw State. Rebounds pretty well, 6 boards versus Florida A&M. But you talked about Mississippi State and their inability to knock down the shot from the perimeter. Fred Thomas is a guy who they're looking to knock down and be more consistent from behind that 3-point line.
Thomas hits the second free throw, gets 1 of 2. Thomas played very well, and he'll come off the floor now. Thomas played very well in the overtime win against Texas A&M. He scored 13 points in that game. That was an SEC conference best for him. Shamsuddin slowly brings it into the front court. 4-point lead now for Auburn at 10-6. Nice pass. And the dunk. Dixon Tatum throws it down. Great execution by Auburn in the half court. And here's the full court pressure D. Davis beats the pressure. Bloodman has it in the deep corner. Sword looks inside. Johnson trying to post up in there. Swinging the ball, trying to make that zone move. Davis from way downtown. Short side rim, no good. And another offensive foul called inside, and that'll go against Ware. And that's his second personal foul, so it's a decision time now for Ray, and Ware will go right to the bench.
Yeah, that changes the entire complexion of this basketball game. Alan Payne does a good job of boxing out, and a tough break that time on Gavin Ware. It looks like just two guys going for the basketball.
Thompson, 20, has checked in for the Tigers. And Borchard is called on the foul for Mississippi State. Auburn able to get that basketball inside. 8 of their 12 points have been scored in the paint thus far. Malcolm Canada comes into the game and will run the point. 3 from the wing. Good. And so Denson hits a 3. He won't shoot many threes, but he knocked that one down from the left wing.
One thing that you've seen thus far in the basketball game is Auburn has disallowed Mississippi State to get out into the fast break. Mississippi State does so much damage creating their offense off of their defense. So Auburn hasn't turned over the basketball much, and defensively they're getting back in transition and making the Bulldogs go up against a set defense of 5 Auburn Tigers.
Malcolm Canada was fighting through that screen and got whistled on the personal foul. Team foul number 5 on Auburn here in the first half. 3 team fouls so far in Mississippi State. Sword goes right to the basket. Can't hit the follow. Rebound by Harrell. And he weaves his way into the front court. Here's Denson. Likes that transition game. Harrell, a deep 3 out of the corner, would not go. Borchard the rebound for Mississippi State. Bulldogs want to run when they can. They've got the numbers 4 on 2. Sword. The delivery to Johnson, who hammers it home.
Big time finish by Raquez Johnson, a guy who they could also see a lot more from in Mississippi State. Athletic, does a nice job defensively of defending guys that are much bigger than him, and you saw some of his athleticism on that play.
There's an offensive foul.
Right now
on Denson, that's his second. The throw down by Johnson. Auburn 15, Mississippi State 8. Auburn leads by 7 at Mississippi State halfway through the first half. Damian, let's go inside the play and check out some of that offensive execution by the Tigers.
Well, anytime you have the ability to go inside out, it pays dividends. Let's let it roll. First of all, you see Mississippi State that's just not ready as the inbound plays goes. And then you'll see Thomas get it inside, and a nice job of controlling the defense and then going inside out to Chris Denson for the three-point shot. Anytime you get it around that inside emblem around the SEC, it it always contracts the defense, and then you have a better opportunity to get shots from the perimeter as a result.
And Alex Thompson set that play up with a nice pass into the deep corner. He just got his scholarship awarded by Tony Barbee on January 14th after a film session at Tennessee.
Alex Thompson has definitely earned that scholarship. Has done a good job, had a very good game earlier in the season as well.
Shot blocked by Dixon Tatum. Coming back the other way, awkward move to the basket. Would not go for Harrell. Denson is out of the game now. Yeah, that's a foul. Looked like a defensive back in the conference championship games this weekend. Team foul number 7, and that'll get Mississippi State to the line on the bonus. That foul was on Dion Wade, another one of those freshmen. Boy, Mississippi State really struggling here in the early going at the free throw line. 1 out of 4 from the stripe to begin the game. So right now, Chris Denson is on the bench for the Tigers with 2 personal fouls, the leading scorer in the SEC. And conversely, Gavin Ware, the big man in the middle for Mississippi State, also on the bench right now with 2 personal fouls.
Well, obviously the foul trouble hurts. You mentioned I.J. Reddy, the point guard, being out for Mississippi State, so that hurts them. And you see there Chris Denson for Auburn out with foul trouble here early. So we'll get into the depth of both of these teams with 10 minutes left to go in the half.
Sword picks up the foul. That's his first. Held ball situation, and will go the other way. Mississippi State gets possession of the basketball.
Auburn has a nice lead right now. But with Chris Denson on the sideline, you're left with KT Harrell. So we now have an opportunity, if you're Auburn, to see who is going to be that other person to step up. And the same goes for Mississippi State. Ware on the bench now. You've just got Sword left in the game. Who else is going to step up and take this opportunity for the Bulldogs?
Sword averaging 15 points a game. He's got it, 32 in white. Counting down to the 10-minute mark of our opening half. Here's Thomas for 3. Got it.
Fred Thomas finally showing some life for Mississippi State. You mentioned he had 13 points, and for young players, Dave, it doesn't take much to gain some confidence and get that snowball effect going. Thomas does extremely well on the defensive end. If he can get it going offensively, a tremendous amount of help for the Bulldogs.
Down the lane, up and in. Alan Payne.
And if you're both teams right now, you need to take the recipe that Alan Payne just used and truly attack the rim. Sean Dixon Tatum for Auburn still has an inside presence and has the ability to block shots. But for Mississippi State right now, there is no one to keep you out of the paint.
Thomas swings it through the other way to Bloodman. He goes right to the teeth of the defense. The dish to Johnson. Tipped it. Bloodman got it back and put it in. Give credit to Johnson. He kept that ball alive on the offensive glass. Bloodman collected it and put it back up and in. 4-point game now.